Debbie, good morning. We welcome you and welcome
Morning.
everyone who's attending with us today.
Yeah, it's great to be back with all of you. We have a
So excited to have you.
fabulous topic. It's so perfect to go with the Landvoice product. Don't you think so, Sean?
Absolutely. The timing of the year, right? As
Yeah.
well as just thinking about Landvoice and all the products and prospecting and opportunities for the agents. I love this topic, Debbie.
Yeah, and as I've been going through our clients' business plans here at Forward, I see on many of those plans the commitment to increase prospecting and the commitment to call expireds and canceleds and for sale by owners. I think the beauty of it is we're starting to see more expireds and cancels, and that's probably going to continue to grow. The market is calming a little and people are still on that tear of those aspirational prices, and sometimes they don't get them sold. And then the for sale by owners also, I think, are noticing a decline in activity. So they're starting to realize this is not as easy as I thought it would be. But here's the dilemma: how to overcome your fear of prospecting, because it's a big thing, right? We know we can make money doing these activities. We get a great product like Landvoice, and then we don't use it. And, I think I read a book not long ago. It was actually written by these professors. It was this huge multi-year study on it was really titled How to Overcome Your Fear of Prospecting and Self-Promotion. And they studied all types of industries and all types of salespeople. And at the beginning of the book, it said, it's a myth that great salespeople find prospecting to be easy. We don't find it to be easy. I started selling real estate when I was 18, and I learned to become a great prospector. Expireds were one of my things. I was an expired queen. I prospected probably 5 hours a day. And I would say, though, that on the very first year, I spent most of the time terrified. The first day my broker sent me out to knock on doors, I sat in the car and cried. I mean, it wasn't easy, right? So how do we get past that? Because there's so much opportunity on the other side of that fear, right? And I think some people here today, especially if you're newer to the business, you might be thinking, I don't know if I can make it in this business because I'm really uncomfortable prospecting. Join the party. We all were. And I guess I would say, even after you develop the muscle to do it, it's not like you're going to wake up in the morning and go, hallelujah, I get to prospect, because it's work, right? But it does become easier over time. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today. But just know, if you have call reluctance, you are not alone. 90% of salespeople do, because rejection isn't fun. And I used to have to remind myself, when someone would tell me no on the phone, they're not rejecting me personally. They don't even know me. They're just saying, no, I'm not interested in what you're selling. But rejection's not fun. The other reason I see a lot of people not prospect is it's not protected in their calendar as a non-negotiable activity. My broker said to me early on, he said, your prospecting time, consider it an appointment. He said, you would never miss a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, but if you don't protect the prospecting time in your calendar, then you are missing that appointment with your future. And that's what he always would drill into me. That prospecting, those hours or hour, depending on what you've committed to, that is your appointment with your future. So it definitely needs to be non-negotiable.
Debbie, I really like that. In fact, there's a lot of newer real estate agents that are on the call with us today. and they're just kind of getting their feet under them. And I always like to say, we've got to treat our business like a business, and we've got to schedule those important things in our business. And it's a non-negotiable. You're right. And the agents that actually schedule this and make it a non-negotiable are the ones that are able to see long-term success in their business.
Well, and I think the thing that I hear a lot is, I'm some seasoned people here. I hear it from some of you. I'm really good when I get to the table. Great, but that's not the hard part. The hard part is getting to that table, right? And so if you really dig in and say, what is my big why? And it might not be Ferraris. It might be because I want to give to my church, because I want to put my children through school without student loans. I want to have reserves so I have less stress in my life. Whatever that is your big why. I think of that like the touchstone, that when you're heading to the office or to your home office and you're thinking, oh, what busy work can I do today to avoid making my calls, that you stop and take a moment and remember that big why. And guys, let's be honest, there's always pain in this business. There's the pain of doing the things we don't want to do that make us a little bit uncomfortable, or there's the pain of not having the income and the success that we deserve. So it's quite frankly kind of a matter of choosing which pain, right? And that big why is that thing that can remind you, this is my greater purpose. This is why I have to step through this discomfort and just show up and make the calls. But then I think they get stuck in the tactics, and anything you want to jump in here too, in terms of, Landvoice and the system behind it would be great, Sean. Anything you think they might be missing? Because I think that's the step one. Who am I going to call, and where do I get that information?
Well, let me say something about that, Debbie, because that's what we're so passionate about here at Landvoice, right? Is helping every real estate agent, every team find those people to contact and to call. And, I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and I've always been saying that's the most important part of a business, but there's a lot of really important parts of a business. For us, I just think in our state of the economy right now, Debbie, with higher interest rates, people, sellers and buyers sitting on the sidelines, that there's no more important time of not only the year, but of this economy for expires and FSBOs than now. And the reason is we need to get in front of people that aren't sitting on the sidelines. And that's expireds, that's FSBOs, that's pre-foreclosures. And if we can just get ourselves and our business in front of those home sellers, that's, in my opinion, the key to the business. And so who do we want to call? We want to call expireds. We want to contact FSBOs and pre-foreclosures. And if it's not call, maybe it's door knock, but somehow we have to establish a relationship and make a contact there, right?
Yeah. In fact, we have a coaching client here at Forward who is not far from our office here in Southern California. He'll make $750,000 this year. He is a single agent with an admin doing pre-foreclosures. And I mean, and it's funny because you think, well, are there that many of them in my market? I was surprised by how many there were in this local market. And the interesting thing is they are 50% of, most of them have 50% equity in their home. Yeah. And, Roxanne, if some of the phone numbers, it's always challenging to have phone numbers that are 100%, going to work for you. But the key is just even having that data and that information. My client who does this, he does call, but if he cannot get them on the phone, he knocks on their door. And he finds incredible success knocking on the doors of the notice of default. In fact, many of the clients I've coached over the years have told me knocking in the afternoon, knocking on Saturday morning, knocking on Sunday afternoon. That's how they made their best connection. But the beauty with the product is you don't have to sort through all that data to try to figure out who they are, right?
And Debbie, I'll just speak to that. No, we do have Chad on in chat with us, who works as one of our account executives here at Landvoice. So if you ever do have some pre-foreclosures or some other data points that you're just getting bad numbers, or that you just don't have a number, I would recommend calling in Landvoice and asking for Chad or for Alex, and they can rerun that data for you and find you really good, really accurate phone numbers. They're happy to take care of you.
Okay, awesome. So then as you're setting up your prospecting plan, so we want to add our new pillars, our expired FISBO, our must move people. Then we want to look at, well, where does most of my business come from historically? It might have been your past clients and sphere. So we certainly want to incorporate that into the lead gen plan. And I'm just a big believer when people come to us at Forward for coaching, I always tell them, let's go number one to what you do best, where most of your business comes from, and then close the gaps, right? Improve your system, time block in. If you have, X number of people in your database, break it down to how many do I need to dial every day to cycle through that in a quarter. So we take what you do well, lock and cement that plan, put that in your calendar so it becomes part of your non-negotiable. Then we look at your new or additional lead gen levers, the expireds, the for sale by owners, the pre-foreclosures. And you say, okay, now I want to work those. So what's my time block? What am I looking to accomplish? What's my script going to be? So if someone said to me, well, I'm going to start calling expireds, I'd say, great. What time of day will you call them? What will your process be? What will you say? What will you do if you can't reach them over the phone, right? Like I want step by step, because it's really hard to hold yourself accountable to a goal. You need a system behind that goal, or you probably won't accomplish it, right? And I always love to ask this question, what are you avoiding that if you just did it, you would likely have great success, right? So that might be the stories in your head about, well, I don't want to do the pre-foreclosures because it feels creepy, because they're in a bad financial situation. My client, Robert Barksdale, he tells me he is a really great man and just such a gracious heart. And he said, I go into that meeting or that conversation thinking, if I can give them advice that helps them save their home and stay in their home, that's my number one goal. And then I'll add them to my nurture campaigns. I'll stay in touch. Maybe they'll send me a referral. But if that does not work, then I need to be the honest and dependable person to tell them what can they do, what steps can they take to slow down the bank so we can get that home sold, and make arrangements to get them the best of all scenarios possible. I mean, I've even seen him sell it to an investor who then allowed them to rent back, even gave them free rent for 6 months. So, if you're thinking, oh, I don't like it, it's creepy, maybe you need to shift your mindset and think, how can I help these people? And man, they are grateful for his help. The things he has done this year that people would have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars had he not stepped in and helped them slow that down.
And Debbie, you said something really important just earlier, which was a lot of these pre-foreclosures have 50, 60, 40% equity in the homes. As a real estate professional, it's our job to educate the homeowner and help them either delay the foreclosure or get that home sold so they don't lose all of that equity.
Right.
And when I look at it from that perspective, it's a really easy call for me to make to that homeowner to help them with that equity. I also find, by the way, when we're calling pre-foreclosures, I find it much more effective to not call and let them know that I know they're in pre-foreclosure, but to just call them and act like it's a circle prospecting type of script, right? So I'll call them and ask if they know of anyone that's listing their home or is interested in listing their home. And what I find is now when they disclose it's in foreclosure, rather than me telling them that I know their home's in foreclosure, it eliminates a little bit of that embarrassment and allows me to have a much more organic conversation with these homeowners. And so I highly recommend when you call a pre-foreclosure to talk to them about a home you've recently sold in the area, about a home that you've recently listed in the area, and then to ask if they know anyone in their area that's thinking about listing, because chances are the stress of that foreclosure puts them in that conversation where they'll say, actually, we're currently thinking about that, about listing our home. And then when they disclose it, it just starts the whole conversation in a more
Right.
congenial and friendly way.
Yeah, and they're asking about scripts, and I believe you have the link for my script book, right? Can you dig that out and pop that in the chat? And we do have scripts in there for you. And I think one of the things you'll notice about the scripts is I don't argue with them, right? So if I'm on the phone with an expired, my goal is really to get in front of them. So on that phone conversation, if I can determine that they're still selling and I can set the appointment and go list that property and get in front of them, fantastic. But you know what often happens is they'll say, I'm not selling, so no, I don't want to meet. And I could take that as the truth, right? Or I could know that maybe they're just tired and they're burnt out and they're avoiding it because they're sick of it. And so I might ask the question next, which was my favorite go-to. Well, I understand. I'll make a note of that. May I ask you though, Sean, would you be okay with me keeping your home on my off-market inventory list? So as I'm out there working in the field, if I happen to come across a buyer and I believe they might be a good match, would it be all right with you if I reached out to see if you might like to arrange an off-market showing? Would you be interested in that? And very often they would say, well, yeah, I would sell it that way, but I don't want to list it. And then they would often say, do you have a buyer? And I never am gonna lie to a seller. Now, if I actually thought I do, then I'm gonna do a one-party show and go sell it. But if I don't know or don't think I do, I'm gonna say, I would never mislead you. I haven't seen your home. And so I really can't tell you if I do, but I'd be delighted to look at it. And then I can take some notes. And now that I've seen it, then in the future, if I contact you to show it, then I'm going to know that it's legitimately a potential match and I won't waste your time or my time. Do you have 10 minutes to show it to me today? I'm going to be in the neighborhood anyhow. And that was kind of always my favorite line. I'm going to be in the neighborhood anyhow because it makes it a little less pressure. Well, yeah, but you can come, but I'm not listing. You know what, Sean? I won't even bring it up unless you want to. But no, I just love to see your home. Because I knew if they're willing to let me in, if they're willing to be an off-market opportunity, they're probably willing to list it again. And I just need to get in there, build rapport, look him in the eye and say, you know what, Sean, I don't have a buyer right now. I will be delighted to keep it in mind for you. And I'm just so surprised that it didn't sell. What do you think happened? And then I've always talked to sellers about the fact that, sure, your agent said it's price, and maybe it is. Also, though, there are other factors. It could be a few tweaks on how the home is shown. It could be how the home was marketed, who the home was marketed to, because my gosh, I'm one of the top agents in the area, and your agent didn't even directly market your home to me. So I'm wondering, would you be willing to sit down and just talk about what I could do for you? See, I thought of myself as like this little inchworm, inch my way in there. If I could get the appointment set on the phone, great. If I couldn't get the appointment set on the phone, get inside that door of that expired. My favorite line with for sale by owners when they're like, no, I'm not going to list, not going to list. Well, as a professional agent, I think it's important to see all the great properties for sale in the area. Would you allow me to look at your property? Well, yeah, but I'm not listing. Yeah, I know you're for sale by owner. And I'm only paying you 1% if you sell it. Oh, I'll make a note of that. Because guess what? I don't need to argue with that FSBO on the phone. I need to get in that door, because 50% easier when you're face to face. Plus, you know what, guys, honestly, sometimes what might happen is I just get in there and go, this person is wacky. And this is horrible. And I don't want it. So I'm going to take it off my list, right?
Debbie,
So
what you just mentioned, just real quick, sorry to interrupt,
sure,
but
sure.
I love that. I hope you guys all caught what Debbie just did. Like in that FSBO script that she was just saying, the key to life, the key to success, the key to sales, the key to business is whenever someone gives us some type of objection, what Debbie just did is she just validated what they said, right? Like, oh, of course, or oh, we can definitely handle that. We validate without arguing. And as we validate, we create that relationship and then set that listing appointment, which is the most important part of our business.
And I was just kind of trying to type it in. It's not letting me. Can you type in my email for them, Debbie@forwardcoaching.com? If you guys will type in Debbie@forwardcoaching.com and just send me a message that says scripts. We'll send you the scripts. It's about 80 pages and it has matching audio. And a good chunk of that audio is the expired and for sale by owner. And, you know, it's funny that George says it comes natural to Debbie. You know what? That's just practice. That's just practice. Because the good news is,
repetition.
And don't type it in there, guys. You got to email me, okay? Because I can't keep track of that. So send me an email, Debbie@forwardcoaching.com. So send me an email now, because I won't be able to grab your info out of the chat box.
Very generous of you, Debbie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love those scripts.
Yeah, and then reach out. You'll have my email. So if you have a question after you listen to a script, reach out to me. But I want you to think, I want to help you channel all the things it took me 30 years to learn. Calm down. Slow down. If you talk fast, if you're anxious, it breaks rapport. They're already stressed. It sends their mind into overload. And tell yourself as you're dialing these calls, they really need my help. They really need my help. That was always my chant as I was dialing. They really need my help. They really need my help. So that when they picked up the phone, if they were in an aggressive kind of angry mood, I was trying to get into my mind, they're upset. They're not mad at me. They're sad. They're stressed. Maybe their agent was terrible. They really need my help. And I need to be gracious, and I need to be calm, and I need to be patient. And I want you to think language of agreement, right? So I don't want to argue with them. The word but is not in any of my scripts, because I always want to just be moving them forward. And if they are really like aggressive for sale by owner, I think agents are idiots. I would never list with one. They're terrible. I can do a better job. Wow. It sounds like you've had a really bad experience. And I am sorry that that happened. And you know what? There are some bad agents out there. In fact, you should feel sorry for me, Sean, because I have to work with them every day, right? So guys, you just got to roll with it a little bit. And I think we get so stressed out about it, right? So just ask yourself, what opportunities is your market presenting? What have you done in the past that was successful but stopped doing? And even what activities are the best fit for your personality? And make sure you've got at least 3 good methods of prospecting, then add a 4th, then add a 5th. And it doesn't all have to be on the phone. That's why I said you may want to go out and knock on the doors of the expireds if you can't reach them on the phone. And they don't all have to be strangers. But for them to count as a prospecting contact, You have to ask them specifically for business. So determine your prospecting groups. You've got the data. What to say. Scripts are important. You're going to get them. Practice them. And I used to practice rehearse for 15 to 20 minutes every day because I knew if I could internalize them, I'm not going to sound like a robot. And also, if I can internalize them, I can pay attention. I can read the nuances. I can listen carefully. So I kept them posted on my wall because I wanted to practice and memorize them, but I didn't want to be too distracted by that. So if I had them on the wall, that made it a little bit easier for me. And then you're going to get the same 3 to 5 objections all the time. Now, they may be a little bit different, 3 to 5, depending on the market, but I would master the 3 to 5 objections you're most likely to receive based on who you're calling, and at least have one good response for each. And you're going to find lots of help in my script book. Okay, you'll find lots of help. And then just remember, the first no is reflex. Think about when you go into a department store and you're truly there to buy something and you're kind of in a hurry and the salesperson says, "Can I help you?" What do we usually say? "No, I'm just looking." "No, I'm not selling." "No, I'm not listing my home with an agent." "No, I'm not interested." "No, I'm not ready right now." Reflex no. How do you get past it? Great questions. Okay, I could appreciate that. Before I let you go, may I ask a quick question? "Oh, well, you know what? And what about this?" With expireds, when they used to say, "I got to go. I got to pick up my kid from school." "No problem. Hey, before you run, could I ask you, would you be interested in me keeping you on my off-market inventory?" "Well, what? How does that work?" And then suddenly, where did the kid go? Because now they're talking to me for 20 minutes, right? So don't believe it. First no is reflex. Mirror and match their rate of speech. So weird psychological thing that if you sound like them, their brain identifies you as a friend, less likely to resist as much. In fact, Sean, when I would leave messages for expireds, I would say, so let's say the lady answers and says, "Hello, this is Mary." "Hello, Mary. This is Debbie D. Grote. I am a real estate agent. I just have a very quick question about your home. Could you call me back, please?" And they're like, "Well, does she have a buyer?"
So good.
But mirror and match, because when
Debbie, I call it becoming a chameleon, right?
exactly,
We want to match them. Yeah.
absolutely, and ask great questions, acknowledge and approve. Great, terrific, excellent, good for you. See, those are all sprinkled into my scripts. NLP words and phrases are sprinkled into my scripts. And I think you'll notice that the tone of the scripts, it is gracious, it is calm. Sometimes you read it on the paper and you might go, "Oh, I don't know about that," but listen to the audio, okay? And then I think you'll see that it works. So focus on setting appointments. It's great to do the dials. It's great to have the contacts, but your goal is get in that door. So then just quickly, there's a 7 pennies game. You line them up on the edge of your desk. When they try to push you away and you ask that one more question, you go a little further, you get to move a penny. So the game is they hang up, can't do anything about that, or they give me an appointment, hallelujah, or I moved all 7 pennies and there's just nothing there for me. And now I move on. So just remember, none of us are born disciplined. None of this is easy when we begin. The activities that you do every day become a habit when you do them often and over a long enough period of time for them to become a routine. Think about when you first learned to drive a car and now it's automatic. Think about when you first decided to start going to the gym every day and it wasn't fun. And now, yeah, you'd rather sleep in, but you get up and you do it, and it's not that hard. And then let's be sure, get all those leads into the CRM at the end of your session, set the follow-up, take the notes from the conversations. You've done the hard work. Now we don't want to lose them because we forgot to follow up, right? And so, Sean, we want to make sure, again, if you want to pop my email in there one more time to get the scripts, all you need to do is email me and say scripts, please. So that's the Debbie at forwardcoaching.com. On the QR code on your screen, if you feel like I'm going to need a coach in 2024, and I love to talk to Debbie about that, you just scan that QR code and we'll get you set. So that's if you're interested in coaching. The email, though, that will ensure that I get you the scripts ASAP today. Stephanie will take care of that for you.
Debbie, I want to thank you for your time today. I also want to tell everybody there's some good news. We've got Debbie coming back the next 2 weeks. So in between now and the end of the year, you've got access to a couple of more really fun trainings. Debbie, you've been so good to us and good to our people. Appreciate everybody joining us today.
You got it. We will see you guys soon, and we will send you those scripts, but you've got to email me. So Debbie at forwardcoaching.com, then I will know you want them. All right, guys, have a great day.
Thanks, Debbie. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.